A true six-pointer tonight in St. Louis, as this evening St. Louis FC play host to San Antonio. This evening St. Louis FC match is brought to you by the Cheshire, St. Louis, and LHM. For booking some more information, visit CheshireSTL.com. Chris Whittingham alongside the former Manchester United goalkeeper Gary Bailey for commentary of this one. To see the fans making their way into the Toyota Stadium as tonight St. Louis plays host to San Antonio. St. Louis currently above the playoff line, San Antonio currently below, and with 4 matches to play, all to play for at the Toyota this evening. And Gary, let's go ahead and take a look at the Western Conference standings. At the moment, St. Louis currently sitting in 7th, with San Antonio currently sitting in 9th, below that playoff line. Reno in between them, but you see right there, just 3 points separating them.
Yeah, this is a classic Cup final 6-pointer. Call it what you want. Reno have those 2 games in hand. Let's just assume they win one of them. They're on 48 points. So really, this is a battle for 8th place between St. Louis and San Antonio. Bear in mind here, Chris, that San Antonio's final 3 matches are all at home. That means this is a must-win, or at least, at worst, a draw for St. Louis tonight.
And San Antonio had a 6-pointer on Wednesday night that they lost to Swope Park Rangers by 2-0. And that has them currently below the playoff line, and that is currently a struggle for them at the moment. Let's go ahead and take a look at our player to watch. It is presented by Toyota, and for St. Louis FC, it is Kyle Gregg, their leading goal scorer, on 13 for the season. He can make it 14 and equal the St. Louis FC USL record.
Oh, he's a superstar, this man. Look, he's good in the air. He gets plenty of goals, headed goals. He's great with the strike of a ball. As you can see there, left foot into the corner. He holds up play well. He's the all-round striker, and that's why he is about to break records there at St. Louis.
And he is on 13 coming into tonight with 14. Can go level with Irvin Herrera, who scored 14 for St. Louis in 2016. Coming up next, we'll bring you through our starting lineups and first half kickoff. It's St. Louis FC playing host to San Antonio FC, and it's next.
A lottery ticket is so much more than a piece of paper. It's wonder, opportunity, dreams. And not just for players. 100% of the profits from every Missouri lottery ticket you play goes back to schools, teachers, and students. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
At Toyota, safety isn't an option, it's standard. So features like lane departure alert and pre-collision system are always included on every single Toyota RAV4. To get similar features on a CR-V, Honda charges over $2,000. They shouldn't, we don't. Tested, trusted Toyota. Get $2,500 customer cash on a new 2018 RAV4, or get 0% APR financing on a new 2018 RAV4. Find your Toyota at buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to theelectricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Locked over the top for Takers. What an incredible strike from Kadeem Takers, and doubling St. Louis's lead.
Michael Cox lays it off. Herzog with a chance. Lays it off for Michael Cox. His first goal. 4-1 St. Louis.
Live from the Toyota Stadium, St. Louis FC playing host to San Antonio FC. Select is the official soccer ball of USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Chris Whittingham alongside Gary Bailey for commentary of this one. These two teams met in the second match day of the season back in San Antonio, and it went the way of the host. It got started very well for St. Louis. It would be Kyle Gregg who would open the scoring, one of his 13 on the season. Not getting a ton on it, but still enough to make it 1-0 to the visitors. But San Antonio would find the way back for a pair of players scoring on the night who are not in the starting 11 tonight for San Antonio, not even in the squad. First, Mikey Lopez, who is out due to a 10th yellow card on the season. There you see him getting the header there in ahead of Sean Reynolds.
It's a good finish, that, and they're going to miss him tonight. He's been a crucial player for them.
And then Chris Turpak, who is now with Nashville SC, getting the header and allowing San Antonio to gain the 3 points on their home opener against St. Louis. These two teams did not face each other in 2017 on account of being in different conferences. Now let's get to our starting lineups tonight. They're brought to you by Schlafly Brewery. Let's start first with San Antonio, who make 5 changes from their midweek contest against Swope Park Rangers, all in that kind of front 6 area. The only holdover is Lance Lang.
Yeah, they're missing Ever Guzman up front, their top scorer with 8 goals, so that could cause San Antonio a couple of problems, and as you already mentioned, Mikey Lopez suspended.
For St. Louis, 3 changes from the team that lost last Saturday, or that beat Swope Park Rangers last Saturday away from home. Culbertson, Calistri, and Gregg in for Pollock, Jepson, and Michael Cox. So there is your starting lineups, brought to you by Schlafly as you're about set to get ready for kickoff of this one. It is a massive contest in the race for the playoff places in the USL Western Conference. It will be San Antonio wearing the whites, going from left to right. That get us started. Welcome into tonight's St. Louis FC match, as tonight they host San Antonio. At the moment, St. Louis FC above the playoff line on 46 points from 30 matches after beating Swope Park Rangers last Saturday night away from home by 4-3. Meanwhile, San Antonio losing twice in a week, dropping points after leading in Tulsa. They led 1-0, they lost 2-1, and then on Wednesday night losing by 2-0 away at Swope Park Rangers. San Antonio now below the playoff line, but a victory tonight can draw them level with 3 matches to play, all to play for, with 4 games to go here in the USL season, as Lance Lang strikes from a long way out wide of Tomas Gomez's goal.
Yeah, as you say, it's a 6-pointer, it's a cup final. Describe it how you want to describe it, but for both these teams, an absolutely massive game. And they come into it in opposing form. San Antonio with 2 losses, as you said. St. Louis with a couple of wins and a draw. So St. Louis definitely 3 points ahead, in better form. You would think that this is theirs to win on home soil. And if they do, that 6-point gap might just be enough for them to see themselves ahead of San Antonio and into those playoffs.
Lewis Hilton trying to play forward towards the path of Corey Herzog, wearing the bleached hair this evening. San Antonio very much on a streaky pattern of late. In their last 13 matches, they have won 4, lost 4, won 3, and now lost 2 on the bounce, including on Wednesday night. This is their 3rd away match in 8 days. They do close the season with 3 games at home, all against teams below the playoff line, as there is a foul away from the play on that left-hand side. And it will be a free kick won there by Lewis Hilton.
Yeah, and doing this strange phase for them of win, lose, draw, and mixing it all up. They've beaten Phoenix Rising and Real Monarchs, so they are very capable, San Antonio, of getting a good result here at St. Louis tonight. And with 3 home matches to come after this, if they did get a win, you'd fancy them to finish above St. Louis, because they'd be level on points with a win tonight. So everything to play for both sides.
For St. Louis, they'd be 6 points clear with a victory with 3 matches left to play, as will be Lewis Hilton to take this free kick. Still plenty of pace on it. Herzog trying to flick on with a back heel, but straight at the San Antonio goalkeeper, Matt Cardone.
That was a good little chance there for Corey Herzog. He's unmarked in the box. The ball comes straight to him. He just can't get any extra pace on the ball. Have a look at it again. Ball comes in. He's there first. He gets the flick, and even you can see by his face, he's going, oh, could I have done more on that ball? Certainly he's presenting a threat there to San Antonio from very early on in this game.
Here's Austin Martz on this left-hand side, as he'll race towards that byline, trying to peel it back with his left, but cut out well there by Darnell King, the regular right back for San Antonio. Ex-Tampa Bay Rowdies. Turns 28 tomorrow. As the header is won there by Greg Cochran, making appearance number 99 for San Antonio FC. Well flicked on there by Greg. Lewis Hilton and Martz. This is lovely one-touch football as Herzog tried to roll in Kyle Gregg. Cut out well there by San Antonio. Here's Cesar Elizondo on this right-hand side. One of 5 changes in attacking areas for San Antonio this evening. We were a bit surprised by that. A game of this magnitude that San Antonio would at least want a result from, and that yet they go for 5 changes from the team that played Wednesday. A lot of away matches, the sort of build-up of exhaustion could start to happen, but still, these are huge games, and San Antonio's manager, Darren Powell, trusting his squad.
Yep, sometimes you've got to do that. Rotation is important. They know the state of the players. They see them in training. They know what it's like after the midweek games, those who are feeling aches and pains and battling with their fitness. So one assumes that they've thought it through very, very carefully. But it's a lot of changes to make, and you would want your best players available to come to St. Louis. And it's just got to hope, if you're a San Antonio fan, that the players that are coming can do the job tonight.
Meanwhile, for St. Louis, trying to make the postseason for the first time in club history, can also have a record goal scorer by the end of the evening in way of Kyle Gregg, currently sitting on 13 goals on the season. Needs one more to level Irvin Herrera's record of 14 set in 2016. But for Anthony Poulos, already 12 victories. The most they've had in a USL League season was 9 coming into this year. So already a very successful campaign, and you can tell based off the way that these stands are packed with fans this evening at the Toyota, they're looking forward to seeing their side make the playoffs for the first time in the league.
Absolutely, and they certainly have at times deserved that. And obviously, you've got to get it. You can't just deserve it. You've got to get the points. But the way they've played, the goals they've scored, Kyle Gregg and the form he's been in, you would think that there's a good chance of them making it. And if they do, they can cause a lot of problems in this playoff. They really are a good side. I love the sort of Corey Herzog, Kyle Gregg combination up front as Anthony Poulos looks on, and the ability they have to play together. And if you can get Kyle Gregg in, he is such a good finisher. He can cause San Antonio and that big, well-bearded goalkeeper there, Matt Cardoni, all sorts of problems.
Actually earned Player of the Week the last time San Antonio FC played in St. Louis in 2016. Made 7 saves and saved a penalty in a 2-0 victory for San Antonio back in 2016. So he would like playing on this ground again. Their usual number 1, Diego Restrepo, remains out due to injury. One of 2 major absences in the team beyond the rotation. Restrepo and Mikey Lopez out tonight due to yellow card accumulation. He's now on 10. Here's Greg Cochran on this left-hand side. Will slide on the path of Lance Lang. The Loney from FC Cincinnati has options wide open the center of the pitch, and Ethan Bryant could not find him, though.
You just mentioned a player that I'm looking forward to seeing more of. Ethan Bryant just turned 17 years of age in August. I mean, that's really young, so what a good talent this kid must be.
Signed as a 16-year-old. Is still college eligible as he is not taking a salary, but plays in that number 10 role in a massive match. This is vital experience for a young player as Elizondo goes down, a little coming together with him and Culbertson. And the Costa Rican showing he's up for it. Scored the lone goal in the loss at Tulsa Roughnecks last weekend. And so it will be a free kick for St. Louis for Tomas Gomez to take.
This is such an exciting game. I mean, we talk about 6-pointers, and often it gets thrown around a little bit too easily. You know, this is a 6-pointer, and you're in the second week of the season. I'm going seriously, but this really is a 6-pointer because a San Antonio win, and suddenly they're favorites to go to the playoffs in place of St. Louis. Well, of course, we're assuming that Reno, with games in hand, will at least win one of them. And the other way around, St. Louis win, and San Antonio are going to really struggle to make the top 8. So this is your classic 6-pointer cup final.
And San Antonio had one on Wednesday night as well, but lost it to Sewell Park. Sewell Park now establishing some distance between themselves and the playoff line. They could have just as easily changed with a San Antonio victory. As a little bit late and a little bit heavy there from Lewis Hilton to give San Antonio a free kick. Won there by Maxi Rodriguez.
Referee lending a helping hand there to get Maxi Rodriguez up. Let's have a look at it again. And big, strong lad is Maxi Rodriguez, 23 years of age. This is a coming together of bodies. Nothing nasty about that.
So we'll be laying over the free kick. Matchday referee Mark Allerton giving the free kick for the visitors, who themselves had a very strong campaign a year ago, finishing second as Lang will send it in towards the penalty area. Gomez off his line, and with a fairly straightforward catch.
Yeah, well taken by the keeper, dominating his box, which is what you love when you're a centre-back. And again, the service into the box, you want to try and keep it away from the goalkeeper. Give your big centre-halves and your strikers something to aim at. So perhaps as the game goes on, San Antonio can deliver with a bit more accuracy.
San Antonio making the semifinals of last year's Western Conference playoffs, going out to Oklahoma City Energy on penalties. As Gomez coming racing off his line, does not deal with it in the most straightforward of fashions, but eventually away by Sean Reynolds. And now Corey Herzog in a bit of space, kind of running behind Darnell King. Leave it here for Austin Martz towards the penalty area. His touch a bit heavy, and coming across very well to win it was Rodriguez, but it's straight at Herzog. We'll leave it for Hilton. And now Culbertson. And St. Louis will keep possession.
There was some lovely good football there from St. Louis, and it all gets wasted at the end, but they played themselves down the line and out of trouble, and they really seemed to play some good football, and then all that hard work and a wayward pass and possession lost.
See, there's some of the supporters enjoying what is a gorgeous evening for football. 68 degrees at time of kickoff. Maybe a smart sweater like the one Anthony Poulos is sporting. As Fink will play it towards Greg, and coming through him was Moises Hernandez, the FC Dallas Loney, giving away the free kick. And now Culbertson lofting it towards Herzog, who wanted it played into space. So dealt with there by Hernandez, and a little bit of a forearm shove there from Culbertson gives away the free kick.
Yeah, you're right. Corey Herzog wanted it into space. The man to hit with the high ball for the head is Kyle Gregg. So Culbertson picking the wrong player out with the cross. But again, it's early part of the game. Everyone just getting a feel for the flow of the game. And I'm sure as we go along, the players will start to get their accuracy a little bit more improved.
Here's Hedrick. And now Darnell King. As Maxi Rodriguez will partner with Charlie Ward in the center of the park. You see Rodriguez, the more withdrawn of the two. Now Lang. And Greg Cochran out to this right-hand side. Well taken there by Elizondo. Trying to get around Culbertson. The challenge put in. Now the 1-2 there attempted by King, but a bit too much pace on it. And cleared by St. Louis.
If you watch St. Louis there, they got bodies behind the ball. They had two banks of four, and eventually they had the two strikers came back as well. They closed down all the space there. Made it extremely difficult for San Antonio to move the ball around. You can see again these two banks of four. You can see them clearly now. And a lot of hard work being done by St. Louis to make it difficult for San Antonio. Well organized team by Anthony Poulos.
Forward there by Cardoni. And now Martz trying to send Kyle Gregg on his way, and Hedrick had to take care of that. Cochran back for Cardoni again. And this time gives it straight to Lewis Hilton. Distribution a bit of a struggle at the moment. Here's Joey Calistri. And now Gregg finds himself in some space. Can roll on the path of Wall-Fall. Wall-Fall into the penalty area. Wall-Fall leaving it there. And it's nearly turned in by Austin Martz. And it just going wide of goal. What an opportunity for St. Louis. Fall could have struck towards goal, instead leaving it for Martz, whose attempt on goal is just a bit wayward.
Oh, what a fantastic opportunity that was. Let's have a look at it again. Carl Gregg with the ball through. It's a lovely cutback here to Mart. Could he have taken it with his left foot? Could he have given it to Corey Herzog? Let's have a look at it again. He actually takes it with his right foot here, Austin Martz, who maybe could have gone with his left. And Corey Herzog saying, what about me? I'm here on my own.
Fink. We're in the armband tonight. And his second stint with St. Louis. Reynolds nearly forgetting the ball and just sending it long. Culbertson actually winning in the air towards Herzog. But now Cyprian Hedrick. Culbertson with a nice backwards header to leave it for Martz, who returns from a long-term injury, is now Fall. Will try and slide it into his path. Does so successfully. Austin Martz towards Gregg. And just got the wrong ball. It might have even been offside. And it was too close to Cardone.
Good chance there. Austin Martz could lift his head up, and he's got to see where Carl Gregg is and get the weight of the ball right. But very good start here for St. Louis. They're putting a lot of pressure on San Antonio. They're probing around the edge of the box. Look at those green shirts hunting in packs there with a very high press. And they certainly are creating a few opportunities.
And now the young Ethan Bryant. First time ball sprayed out to this left-hand side, and Lance Lang assesses his options. Went on a recent run of 3 goals and 3 assists in 3 matches. As the strike came from a long way out, and easy work for Tomas Gomez.
Yeah, no problem there for the goalkeeper. It's more like a back pass, just picks that up. And they're going to build from the back. But certainly, at least for San Antonio, even if it was a bad shot, at least it's a shot on target, because they've been under the cosh the last 5 or so minutes. And it always feels good to at least be up at the other end of the park and causing the opponents a few problems.
Moises Hernandez. Sending it over the top towards Lance Lang on loan from FC Cincinnati. A well-traveled lower division player in the U.S. and Canada. As now the ball is sent down the line. And it just eventually rolling out of play in the direction of Carl Gregg. And there is Greg Cochran, who has played coming into tonight in 91.7% of San Antonio FC's all-time matches. He's very much been the most regular player in this side since its inception 2 years ago.
91.7. What was the 0.7 match?
Substitute appearance, maybe. Culbertson. Trying to play it over the top towards Herzog, but dealt with well. Niall Elizondo. So to play a bit more withdrawn as a wide man. Costa Rican. His appearance last weekend was his first in 10 matches due to an injury, as Ethan Bryant is offside.
A nice positive play by the youngster. Yes, he was offside, but he was looking for the opportunity there. And it just turned 17 years of age. What a great future he's got ahead of him.
Scored his first USL assist on his debut in the league against Sacramento. Does have 2 league assists in 6 starts. We saw this earlier with St. Louis FC on the campaign. They had Aiden Stanley playing at left back before he went out to play in college at Duke. Teenagers getting their chance in this league, Gary.
Fantastic. Love to see it. And that's the way to sort of produce great players. You've got to get them into the professional system nice and young. And if they're not going to college, then you've got a future for them in the game.
As Culbertson clips towards that back post, and Cardone had to be sure.
And then the next step I would suggest is to get them overseas. You want them like Pulisic scoring again for Dortmund. You want them playing at the highest possible level so they can come back to the US and represent the national team and take that national team to glory in the World Cup. That's got to be the ultimate aim, I would think.
As Culbertson will leave it there for Hilton, who tries to send it over the top and aimless towards Greg. USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. Follow at USL on Twitter. As Rodriguez will play it out to this left-hand side, and Cochran, and now Lang trying to play the 1-2 with Ethan Bryant, but a crunching challenge in there from Fink. Now Hedrick under a bit of pressure, as this evening's match is brought to you in part by Worldwide Technology Experience Silicon Valley in St. Louis. The whole complex is Worldwide Technology Park. This is the Toyota Stadium within it, home of St. Louis Scott Gallagher, the prodigious academy in this area. Now Fink and Hilton. Reynolds and Fink have largely been the center back combination. You've seen also Fanuel Cavite either drop in with either of the two of them as part of a back three or as a right back. So you get a look at Darren Powell. He's the only ever manager for San Antonio FC in their third season. Came over from the setup at Orlando City where he was an academy coach. So he'd like to bring through some of these young products like Ethan Bryant's ball is played into the path of Corey Herzog. The flag will stay down as Herzog is into the penalty area. We'll leave it short here for Austin Martz. A good tackle in there from Elizondo. Clip towards the back post, and Greg, who can try and play it out the other side. He does. Here is St. Louis's leading goal scorer, Kyle Gregg. And again, leaving it with Hilton, who now has to retreat. And now Wall-Fall finding himself in some space. We'll clip it over the top for Austin Martz to chase. But Darnell King is there as well. And well done there by the San Antonio right back just to let it roll out of play.
A little bit of excitement there, wasn't there, in the box? And I thought something might happen with Corey Herzog and eventually Austin Martz, and it all sort of petered out to nothing. But again, St. Louis just in and around that box, threatening to find the vital and the crucial final ball. And if they keep probing away like that at that San Antonio defense, the chances are something will happen for them eventually.
No real scores around the league to worry about too much. Swope Park Rangers still in chasing distance for these two sides, but they lead away from home at Tulsa by a 0-0. Haji Berry scoring again. He's now on 8 consecutive.
Wow.
With goals.
That's a good run.
Climbing the scoring charts. Currently topped by Cameron Lancaster of Louisville City.
And Kyle Gregg not too far behind.
Yep, 6 goals off the pace. They can get another one tonight as Sean Reynolds has made a foray forward here. And now Calistri has Gregg ever teasing, but much too close to the goalkeeper there from Calistri.
Not quite sure what that was, whether it took a deflection or not, but it was nowhere near Kyle Gregg, which I assume was the man he was aiming for. So either it was a mishit cross or it took a little deflection along the way. But that's the final ball we're talking about. It hasn't happened for St. Louis yet, but they certainly are probing a lot more around San Antonio's box than vice versa.
Elizondo trying to clip over the top towards Bryant. I would say this first half of the first half has kind of shown what these two teams have in mind for this match.
If it was a boxing match, you'd be saying that's sort of like sparring and testing each other out. There really hasn't been any super big punches thrown as yet. And I guess both sides are thinking we can't afford to lose. I wonder if it ends up being a stalemate and a draw.
Lang now after the giveaway from Fink will strike towards goal. Gomez had it slightly covered, but not the most convincing of punches. It's still on for San Antonio. Maxi Rodriguez, now Cochran. And Lang again, will this time clip towards that penalty area. Trying to get in there is Kyle Murphy, who hasn't seen too much of the ball. And now King. Murphy in for Ever Guzman tonight. And forced to retreat there was Charlie Ward. The young Englishman came through as a youth player at Aston Villa and Stoke City.
There's Lang again. He gave us a little moment, or certainly the San Antonio fans, a little moment of excitement. The shot wasn't a great shot. It was straight at the keeper, Tomas Gomez, but it was powerful. And it certainly got all the San Antonio fans excited for a moment.
Lang, a full international with Jamaica, one of two in the San Antonio team. With Omar Gordon on the bench, winning 16 caps. Lang with 11. Hernandez. Well, one there by Fink. Just heads it into the crowd. As here is Lang's effort.
It's well hit. I mean, it's flying. The keeper, as you say, doesn't get it clear. Sort of drops it into a bit of a danger area, but possibly because the ball was moving a lot in the air. And it certainly would give the San Antonio strikers a little bit of a lift to see the opposing goalkeeper in a touch of trouble.
As ball is lofted towards Herzog, who takes very well, trying to eventually leave it for Greg, who had to come back to win it. Goes to ground, play on, says Mark Gallatin. Elizondo. And doing very well to intervene was Martz. And a result in a San Antonio throw.
Good pressure here from St. Louis. Look at those green shirts, making it very difficult. So San Antonio have to just go up and under and get it out of their defensive area. And that just comes from all the pressure that St. Louis have been putting on them with that high press.
Hilton trying to the long ball over the top towards Calistri. San Antonio have had answers for most of their Route 1 attempts.
There they go again. Just the big long ball in the hope that it drops for them. But sometimes when you can't play through midfield because the opposition are closing down that midfield, then that's the only option open to you. And they have the big man up front, Kyle Murphy. So he's a good option to have.
And there you see St. Louis FC's next time out at home, taking on Tulsa Roughnecks. This was a game that was called off due to weather. And so there will be a makeup before a home date against Oklahoma City Energy. So 2 games against the Oklahoma sides at home to close season for St. Louis. Before that, an away fixture against Phoenix Rising.
That's why this is a must-win game for St. Louis. I think even a draw is precarious because going away to Phoenix and getting a win, not easy to do. That's a fantastic Phoenix Rising team. So if you're a St. Louis fan, you say, let me get the win today, and then I've got a 6-point gap. As Tomas Gomez deals with that, I've got a 6-point gap. And then if something goes wrong at Phoenix, we've still got 3 points to play with and 2 home games to come.
Meanwhile, for San Antonio, 3 home matches against teams all below the playoff line. Home with Seattle Sounders 2, home with Las Vegas Lights, and home with Rio Grande Valley.
You'd expect 9 points from that. I mean, nothing's a guarantee in this league, but
certainly given the urgency of those matches.
And the fact that those 3 teams can't make the playoffs, and maybe they'll be trying out youngsters in different formats. So if that's 9 points for San Antonio, again, it shows you why, from a St. Louis perspective, getting a good result tonight is an absolute must.
This ball is lofted towards Greg. And Greg Cochran positionally has been well placed, as it is a foul against Joey Calistri. Joins after season on loan in Tulsa. And now King. San Antonio in their 3rd match in 8 days, all the way from home. Difficult section of the fixture list. Making some squad changes tonight, as it's towards Bryant, but it's more towards Lewis Hilton in the end. And now Greg and Calistri, as the whistle had gone for a free kick first.
Yeah, a bit of a shove on the back of Carl Gregg. The referee deems it enough to give the free kick, so it just takes a little bit of pressure off, gets St. Louis in control of the ball and able to push their players forward. But all the changes San Antonio have made, you've got to say, in fairness to them, they've looked pretty solid. Yes, St. Louis have had a couple more little probing opportunities around the box, but it's otherwise a fairly even game. So maybe Coach Darren Powell has got his lineup right in terms of rotation.
King. His attacking changes have not created a great deal, but in a solid position at the moment. Certainly stopping St. Louis from doing a ton. Now here's Lang, who would certainly be the inspiration, you have to say, of the players in attacking areas. He's had a very interesting career. Seems like everywhere he's gone, he's kind of created that initial burst of excitement as a real flair player, but has struggled to really stick anywhere. Had it here in San Antonio with a goal and an assist in 3 matches running. Certainly will be looking to hold that place on that left-hand side.
Trying that long ball again, San Antonio. Frustration, yeah, I think that's what probably Darren Powell is saying, is keep possession of the ball, try and play through the midfield, try and slot the ball on the ground through to Kyle Murphy instead of these long high balls that aren't really producing much.
And Kyle Murphy has been starved of service tonight, making his 15th appearance, just his 6th start. Was the leading scorer for Rio Grande Valley last season in USL with 7. This has really been Ever Guzman's show in terms of the goal scoring. He has 8. And now Tony Walls flying forward down that right-hand side. Has played some central midfield this year, but on a run of games at right back is Wall. We'll leave it short here for Lewis Hilton. As Culbertson available, he'll play him in. He'll hit the first-time cross. A decent one towards Herzog, whose header had some power, but always wide of the target.
Yeah, it's well wide of the target. I just wondered from there if he could flick it on, because he had Carl Gregg, another striker with him. If he flicks it on, maybe the ball goes to them. Let's have a look at it again, in from Culbertson. The header, decent, but as you pan out wide, well, you can't see it there. There were 2 more green shirts just behind him. So difficult to beat the goalkeeper from that angle.
And there you see Darren Powell continuing to bark out instructions.
Well, from Darren Powell's point of view, I mean, this could, the entire season could rest on this match.
Yeah,
you know, a
win
for
both sides. You'd have to say.
Both sides, yeah, absolutely. So for the coaches, there's a lot of pressure. For Darren Powell, he wins here, and he's got 3 home matches against lowly opposition. He can be very confident of making the playoffs. Lose and you've got a very difficult situation. Draw and maybe it's 50-50 from there.
Wallfall is dispossessed on the center of the park by Rodriguez. Now Lang to try and play the cross in, and that certainly is not the right ball. And the St. Luligans over in that corner, certainly jeering the San Antonio winger, and he has a laugh.
Good for him. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if that was driving the ball across or having a shot from out wide or what it was, but it didn't come off. And good to see players having a laugh with the crowd and taking it all in good humor. They're the St. Luligans. See that big Poulos head. I love the St. Luligans. I think they're a great bunch of supporters, and they really bring a wonderful vibe to the ground. They're normally a bit more noisy than they are tonight. Those drums are not making as much noise as we have heard in the past.
Still really pleasing to see almost the entire section on that far side filled with fans. I wonder if that sense of importance is felt about this one. This basically determines their playoff lives as Herzog trying to flick it to himself. But well read there by Cyprian Hedrick and cleared, but Calistri trying to win it back. King with a fairly dangerous ball back, but goalkeeper Cardoni will send away.
Once again, not much for Kyle Murphy to deal with there. On his own up front, high ball gets cleared by the St. Louis defense. And Kyle Murphy must feel at times he's like in a tennis match, just watching the ball go over back and forth.
The goalkeeper might have more touches of the ball at the moment, you'd have to say, as Culbertson again, it's a little bit taken out of him.
Yeah, nothing in that really, but Culbertson playing it very cleverly, gets the free kick and forces the referee to have a little word with Kyle Murphy, saying it's the second time you've done this, and although they're not big, I'm adding them up one by one, and eventually it's going to get you the card. So it's clever because Culbertson's limited the impact the big man can have now. He's got to be extremely careful when he challenges for the next high ball.
Lovely bit of skill there from Culbertson. And now Fault and Calistri. St. Louis just trying to build up and create some chances. Calistri trying to flick first time towards Greg, who might have thought he was offside, so didn't really go for it. And a bit too much pace on it anyway.
Yeah, he was just coming back from an offside position, so a little bit of misunderstanding there. But you get the sense, or I get the sense anyway, that St. Louis are just dominating this game a bit more, making it difficult for San Antonio to play out, pressing as they are now with quite a few green shirts in that San Antonio half. They look the more likely to get the breakthrough at this moment in time.
St. Louis trying to make the playoffs out of the West. After playing in the East a year ago, you wonder if that might help just a little bit. Perhaps the fixture list a bit more kind. As here's Bryant and Lang. You've seen at times those two have tried to combine. And now Cochran. Where's the armband? As the lofted ball is caught there by Gomez.
Yeah, high ball, the long ball approach yet again, and I'm not so sure that Elizondo is the right man to be on the end of that, because he's nowhere near as tall as Kyle Murphy.
Go on there by Hedrick, but leaves it there for full. He's eventually come to Cochran. And Hernandez went through academy at FC Dallas, now on loan from the MLS club. And Bryant. And King. Here's Ethan Bryant again. See, touch of class on the ball. Now Elizondo trying to, outside of the boot, play it towards Kyle Murphy. Now Bryant leaves it for Darnell King, the San Antonio leader in assists, flying down from that right back position. Will now leave it for Charlie Ward, but gave too much of it there. And now Herzog, a touch around the defender. He'll carry on his way, Corey Herzog, who goes down on the way to the challenge here from Hedrick and wins himself a free kick.
Well, that just ended a very good spell for San Antonio, and it was the youngster Ethan Bryant who was pulling the strings there and probing around the box. Much better. They're in control of the ball, San Antonio. But eventually, this little coming together of shoulders and a free kick given away, and the pressure now over for St. Louis, and they can play back out again. But certainly, I'm sure Darren Powell will be much happier with the way San Antonio were those last couple of minutes, playing the ball, using their skills, and trying to get their big men into the box with balls to their feet as opposed to everything in the air.
As the St. Louligans have not had too much to cheer about tonight by way of scoring opportunities. But it's not for the want of trying. As Hilton will try and play it over the top towards Martz. Appeals for offside from the San Antonio technical area. But King, in trying to play it off of Austin Martz, went through him and gives away the foul.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I'm not even sure why King is debating the issue. He just went straight into the back of Austin Martz. Have a look. Austin Martz standing there, hits him with his elbow and followed by the body force. No question about that. Let's see what St. Louis can now do from the set piece. And no doubt their big men are coming forward. And a situation where a decent ball from Lewis Hilton could cause all sorts of problems.
Now it's Hilton and Culbertson over it. Matt Cardoni just getting everything established in his area. Can this produce the breakthrough for St. Louis? And it is Lewis Hilton to send it low through. Herzog trying to get something on it towards goal. And he was the one who made the touch, but harmless in the end and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, I think he had two players on him, Corey Herzog there. It was very difficult to get to the ball first and to direct it in any particular direction that he wanted. Let's have a look at it again. And you'll find that there's two white shirts on him there as he's going for the ball, and they stretch, and eventually it comes to nothing. So a nice idea, but in the execution, didn't quite work out for St. Louis.
As Hilton played first time towards Herzog, but the whistle goes. He was offside. Still a 0-0 as we near on 40 minutes played. Sure to visit one of the 7 local St. Louis area Toyota dealers today. Toyota, of course, with their name emblazoned on the stadium.
Yeah, you mentioned the scoreline of 0-0. I guess if you're neutral, you want goals. You want goals from either side. Let's just get this match to life. But for both these teams, so much at stake. Neither team wants to make the error. Neither team wants to fall behind. But I reckon if one of them did, we'd have a really exciting game on our hands.
As the ball is spread out towards Cochran, but it ran out of play. But that is, Gary, very often the kind of custom of relegation 6-pointers around the world is they're very often cagey affairs. If you describe it as a cup final, as a 6-pointer, they're not always the most entertaining games.
Yeah, you don't want to lose. No matter what happens, neither of these two teams wants to lose tonight. So if it happened to be a draw, you probably find both managers would take it. And that's why they don't want to make any mistakes. They want to make sure they're careful. But if there was one goal, then the excitement begins because the other team has to come out and attack. So let's see what happens before halftime.
Hilton towards Herzog, but the whistle had sounded. I'm curious about that approach, though, from San Antonio's point of view. There are 3 points down on St. Louis. Catching Reno might be hard, guys, you mentioned earlier, given the games in hand. They play against Las Vegas later. But there's only 12 points left, and 3 of them could potentially be against the team that you're chasing. It's really between St. Louis and San Antonio for that final playoff spot. And as much as you can take 9 points from 9 over your last 3 games, even that might not be enough.
That's a very fair point. But if San Antonio are going to try and win this, my guess is they're going to do it in the last 10, 15 minutes. Right now, they just want to, keep the home crowd quiet, don't make any mistakes. They're coming off the back of 2 losses. They've had 5 changes. I think they'd be happy to go in halftime at 0-0. But certainly, where you're 100% correct, this last 10, 15 minutes, San Antonio, if it's still 0-0, will think, we've got to go for it now. As will St. Louis. But why wait for the last 10, 15 minutes, guys, for excitement? We want goals now.
Martz. Challenge coming in from King. And this time the whistle will sound, and you have to think, after the accumulation of tackles from Darnell King, you might be seeing yellow here. Oh, no, it's just going to be the wave of the arms.
And the finger counting, 1, 2, and 3. Anthony Poulos says, surely that's enough. And referee saying, I've given you a final warning, I'm counting, but next time it will be a card.
And that's what Anthony Poulos is arguing, that should have already been at that stage. You heard on our pit side microphones the St. Louis manager saying, you got to be kidding me? What does it take?
As all managers will say to the ref when it's against the opposition. Standard manager speak.
And Anthony Poulos gave us the manager speak on our call ahead of this one. We're trying to hype up the importance. Come on, coach, it's a 6-pointer. It's a cup final. He goes, nope, just another set of 3 points for us to accrue at home.
Yeah, I guess he's trying to sort of keep the pressure off his players. If he keeps talking all week about a 6-pointer, maybe the players overreact.
Well done by Greg to take it down for Herzog, but his ball in the path of Martz, dealt with by King.
And so the manager just sort of said, no, guys, it's a normal game. Do your normal thing. Don't get too uptight. Don't get too tense. But quietly, in his own moments, Anthony Poulos is thinking, this is a 6-pointer.
And his players know, too. His players can look at the league table and go, yeah, this one's pretty important.
Yeah, it is. But if your manager starts talking about it, it might just add in too much importance. So, yeah, it's psychology. It's trying to get the best out of your players and fully understand where Anthony Poulos is coming from. And I'm sure the same for Darren Powell. You know, coming off 2 losses, he's trying to lift his players up and say, hey, you know, keep it going. We're in with a shout. We get a good result today. We can make the top 8, and then who knows what. So this game is a very psychological game, soccer, and part of managers' job is to get inside the head of their players.
As Hedrick will deal with it. That's something that I talked about earlier this year with the manager of Oklahoma City Energy. He was going through a pretty poor run early in the season, and he said, if I make 11 changes, then if we lose again, I have to make 11 more changes. If you say that this game is a cup final, then if you lose, you have to say, well, the next one's a cup final, and that sort of ends up losing its luster, and it stops being a real message.
No, that's a fair comment. My old manager, Alex Ferguson, would just scream at you, and you go, yes, boss, I'll do it.
As Corey Herzog wanted that area between the advertising hoarding for the long throw. Still gets a decent one in. Wall Fall with a decent amount of power in that header, but it wasn't towards goal. Now Fall will again try and play it over by this corner flag. We'll send it towards that penalty area low with some pace, and away by Hedrick with 1 minute to be added on here at the end of this first half.
A little bit of excitement there with Wall Fall. That flick on could have gone anywhere, and if it goes to Kyle Gregg, it'll almost certainly have been a goal. So again, St. Louis just probing and trying to create that one final pass that's going to break the deadlock.
And again, Fall with a flicked on header towards Cardoni. And you see there, they're coming together with Fink and the goalkeeper. And now Fink, who is apologetic, and Hernandez stepping in and asking how that happens. And now Hernandez and Wall Fall with a little bit of afters. And the referee, Mark Allerton's going to have to get involved. I don't think that was terribly intentional from Fink towards goalkeeper Cardoni, but the men in white did not like it.
No, and they will use every opportunity to make it seem to the referee that Sam Fink meant to hit the goalkeeper. That's their job, to try and get Fink booked, and his job is to underplay whatever he did. It's standard procedure, and the referee's got to try and sort it all out, and he's just warning the big man, just be careful, which is fair enough. The referee's being consistent. He has given all the players a bit of a warning, as long as it's not too serious. He's just said, be careful, I'm watching you. Anthony Poulos probably wondering whether at some stage he should bring on subs in the second half and who could get that breakthrough that, to be fair, I think St. Louis deserve. They certainly have had a lot more chances than San Antonio.
As that goal kick from Cardoni will be the end of this first half in what has been a cagey affair. If it is meant to be a 6-pointer, then it certainly has played like one so far. A couple of nasty challenges. No yellow cards, though. And we've also been short on chances. So that brings us into halftime. Brought to you by Hollywood Casino. Your score at the break. It is St. Louis FC 0, San Antonio FC 0. All to play for in the final 45 minutes coming up after our halftime report.
The stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to the electricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce. Your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
At Toyota, safety isn't an option, it's standard. So features like lane departure alert and pre-collision system are always included on every single Toyota RAV4. To get similar features on a CR-V, Honda charges over $2,000. They shouldn't. We don't. Tested, trusted Toyota. Get $2,500 customer cash on a new 2018 RAV4 or get 0% APR financing on a new 2018 RAV4. Find your Toyota at buyatoyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
Oh, it's lopped over the top for Takers. What an incredible strike from Kadeem Takers and doubling St. Louis's lead.
Michael Cox lays it off. Herzog with a chance. Lays it off for Michael Cox. His first goal. 4-1 St. Louis.
St. Louis FC 0, San Antonio FC 0 at the break. The St. Louis FC U14 Academy had a bye last weekend, but as you'll see in tonight's edition of the Hollywood Casino Halftime, they found a great way to make the most of their time off. Take a look.
Today we're supporting Painting the Town Gold, where we come out early Saturday morning and we run a 5K for cancer.
We're having a 5K for pediatric cancer awareness. It's for Painting the Town Gold, an organization we started 4 years ago. This is our 4th year going strong.
We're just coming out here to support the cause and have fun.
Just run a 5K for cancer.
Well, we didn't really have a game today, so we were looking for stuff to do, and this is always a great thing to just help and support.
One of our families work with them. Their older kid, when in 2011, was diagnosed with cancer, and this is an organization they've been working since then after his successful recovery.
When I was 14, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and I was tired of seeing kids that I got to know throughout my treatment die. So I got a bunch of people together throughout the community, got a bunch of people together and started Painting the Town Gold.
We have the 13 and 14 Academy from Illinois. It's just a good opportunity for them to build community and kind of develop them off the field as well.
It really makes you feel good because some people aren't as fortunate as others, and they get really sick. And it's good to support.
It's great. Yeah, anyone who comes out and helps this great cause, we really appreciate it. We love all the help we can get.
There from the St. Louis FC U14s is coming up next for St. Louis. A difficult one, Gary, away from home against Phoenix Rising, who at the moment are on their way to making it 6 wins from 7 away to Colorado Springs to lead by 2-0. This is a very tough match.
It is a very tough match, and St. Louis won't want to lose today and have to go there and get a result. That's why the next 45 minutes are so absolutely vital for the home side.
The good news for them is that they would be playing a team already clinched in a playoff place and well on their way to clinching a home game in the Western Conference playoffs. So not a ton on the line for Phoenix, but still so much quality in the side. It'll be tough for St. Louis to get 3 points away from home. Even a result will probably take some doing from St. Louis. You take a look at the schedule. All they have left, Phoenix away, and then 2 home matches to close out the season against Tulsa and against Oklahoma City Energy. This is what they have left to make the playoffs.
Yeah, the last 2 matches you would expect them to get results, and if they're 3 points ahead of their nearest rival, which is likely to be in San Antonio, with 2 of those home matches to come, you'd think they're in a very good position to make the playoffs. That's what they'll be aiming to do, St. Louis, and
And that is how the table looks coming into the evening. St. Louis 3 points clear of San Antonio. If this result holds, they remain 3 points clear of San Antonio, but Reno, with those 3 games in hand, they play Las Vegas later. They certainly have that chance to climb above them. It really seems at the moment like it's between St. Louis and San Antonio for that final playoff place.
It certainly does, and if there is a draw and St. Louis lose at Phoenix, then they'll be level on points, both with 2 home games to come. Then it is a sprint to the finish line. So St. Louis, once again, don't want to be in that position. This is their home match today. Therefore, it's a great opportunity for them to get more than a draw.
But again, your score after 45 minutes, it is St. Louis FC 0, San Antonio FC 0. Now let's take a look at the best from around the United Soccer League.
Leo takes a shot, and that one is good.
And so Francis tapped over the bar by Dan Lind.
Shank cutting it across, the shot is on and in. Hernandez tipped over the bar by Perino. That's number 1 at his best. Here's Saeed. Goal! Oh my goodness! Off the audio, save is made by Patterson Sewell. To the right foot of Rio, shot goal!
David Olsen goes for goal, tipped up by Wazinski.
Tsubasa Endo with a great-looking strike. Endo with some room. Takes a strike. Endo hits it and has a hat trick. Force lasso! Oh, look at Fernando Adi. Into the box. Fernando Adi, far post. Into the box. Corbin Bone! Corbin Bone has it in! With that goal, Manu Ledesma sets a new USL record for assists in a season.
Goal and a score! Incredible goal!
Tampa Bay. He'll try and send one in on the ground. Score! And his service in finds the back of the net.
Wow. It's headed back across and down and in. And is buried into the back of the net.
This could be their moment. It's Baril! Yes!
Ball to Decker, and what a shot at the corner of the net. Right footed shot, and he has it. And St. Louis has stolen a goal. Now headed in for a goal. Oh, and St. Louis has done it.
And there it is. He's just scored.
And then Chart turns the near post, is scored.
Bends it in. Brett is denied and stopped again.
Tambaki's got just enough of a look at it.
And he puts it in. Rips that shot. Followed up and in. And he puts his team ahead once again.
It's in! There it is! 2-0 Orange and Blue!
Now setting up the fight score, and it's in!
Manuel Ledesma does it again!
Saved by Newman. Spagenberg with a diving save.
Putting on a show today!
And that is our ESPN 3 match of the week. FC Cincinnati playing host to Richmond Kickers. You mentioned Phoenix Rising are St. Louis's next opponent. They host Las Vegas Lights in the final regular season edition of the ESPN match of the week. But for Cincinnati, flying clear at the top of the Eastern Conference, they're on a terrific run of form. You take a look at the overall schedule in the West, still coming up tomorrow to close out the weekend. Oklahoma City Energy have an outside chance to get on the chase and make a run towards the playoff places. Probably need some results to go their way. They are away to Sacramento Republic tomorrow, and then RGV playing host to Reno on Wednesday. Orange County playing host to Las Vegas Lights on Wednesday. And for St. Louis, back home again against Phoenix. Take a look at the news and notes from around the league. USL making a big announcement on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Be sure to check out all of the USL social channels on Twitter at USL, Facebook.com/USL Soccer. So be sure to stay tuned at 1 p.m. for a major announcement. Haji Barry, you see there with a goal in 7 consecutive matches, now with 8 on the bounce after scoring tonight for Show Park Rangers away from home against Tulsa Roughnecks. That game, though, is 1-1 with 20 minutes to play, and Las Vegas Lights and El Chelis parting ways after Las Vegas Lights have had a rough go of it in their first season in the league.
They certainly have, and watched a few of those games. We've commentated on them, and Las Vegas haven't done themselves any favors the way they've played. It's exciting, and I love watching them. But sometimes taking a few risks, and it hasn't paid off. So, pity to see the coach go. But maybe somebody else can come in and get Las Vegas to where they belong.
You do see teams in USL hit the ground running from their expansion season. A bit more of a struggle for Las Vegas Lights. Certainly on the field, off the field, a measure of success for them. Drawing in crowds, getting some good press as well. But the on-field results see El Chelis depart. And that is your look at news and notes from around the league. Coming up next, we'll have first half highlights and second half kickoff. You're watching St. Louis FC 0, San Antonio FC 0.
A lottery ticket is so much more than a piece of paper. It's wonder, opportunity, dreams. And not just for players. 100% of the profits from every Missouri lottery ticket you play goes back to schools, teachers, and students. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
At Toyota, safety isn't an option, it's standard. So features like lane departure alert and pre-collision system are always included on every single Toyota RAV4. To get similar features on a CR-V, Honda charges over $2,000. They shouldn't, we don't. Tested, trusted Toyota. Get $2,500 customer cash on a new 2018 RAV4 or get 0% APR financing on a new 2018 RAV4. Find your Toyota at buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Lopped over the top for takers. What an incredible strike from Kadeem Takers and doubling St. Louis's lead.
Michael Cox lays it off. Herzog with a chance. Lays it off for Michael Cox. His first goal. 4-1 St. Louis.
St. Louis FC 0, San Antonio FC 0 in the Hollywood Casino halftime show. Chris Whittingham alongside the former Manchester United goalkeeper Gary Bailey for commentary. This one, let's go to get to our first half highlights. Not a ton by way of scoring opportunities, but we managed to put this together. This is probably the best of them. You'd have to say Kyle Gregan in the path of wall fall. We tried to peel it back for Martz, but just didn't quite come off.
It didn't. Austin Martz hitting it with, I think, his wrong foot, and Corey Herzog saying, hang on a second, I was available. This one is a Lang with a shot that Gomez gets behind, deals with effectively enough, and it wasn't much more than that, was it? There was a wayward header there from Corey Herzog. And there's a lot of probing around the box by St. Louis.
And there was a coming together with Darnell King, who, despite a few challenges, managed to avoid an 11th yellow card of the season. Did eventually result in a St. Louis free kick that Herzog unable to turn in.
Yeah, that's been a lot of huffing and puffing going on, but this is now where all the action's got to take place. 45 minutes for these teams to give themselves a good chance of making the playoffs, and if it stays level, then it's going to be a real sprint to the finish line, and we're not sure how it's going to turn out. Certainly, with the extra 3 points, St. Louis might be favorites, but they've got Phoenix away next match, so a draw leaves it too much for both sides. It leaves it too much in the lap of the gods. What they want, both teams, is a win and a better chance of getting through. And to do that, you need more shots on target than 2.
Yeah, for sure. Both of these teams with a combined 4 shots on target, possession slightly favoring St. Louis, but a lot of long ball route one that hasn't really come off yet. And if you try and play possession, it doesn't come off, that's one thing. But you play long ball and it doesn't come off, that's an entire other proposition, particularly from an entertainment value.
Yeah, San Antonio have struggled. They really haven't played anything through the middle. And as you said, it's all been long ball to the big man up front, Kyle Murphy, who's now in a yellow, or almost on the answer. He's got to tread very, very carefully. He's on a warning, rather. For St. Louis, I did feel they probed around the box very nicely. They try to create something, and I still feel that with a good final ball, they will get the breakthrough, St. Louis. They certainly deserve it.
How much does making 5 changes, particularly those midfield two, normally Pecco's on the bench and Mikey Lopez serving a suspension, changing that many attacking players, you really see that struggle and connection from back to front?
That could be one of the reasons. The other could be that they've really closed down St. Louis. They haven't given San Antonio any space.
See that a bit more often now, the delayed restart, as Wall-Fall will eventually play it to Joey Calistri. You're underway here in the second half. Joey Calistri winning the throw, as we did have a change at the break. It is Kadeem Dakers who comes on for Austin Martin. Gary, we were positing who could come on for either of these teams, and Dakers was the first name on your mind, Gary.
Yeah, he was. He scored a fantastic goal. We saw that at half-time, but he's such a good player and such a creative player on the edge of the box.
And tries to get into the play straight away. His first-time ball over the top. As that change was brought to you by G&W Meats.
Yeah, and there's a couple of other options for St. Louis. Alba and Michael Cox, both good goal scorers. And Dikwa in particular, I think, is a superb player. So it's up to Anthony Poulos how he sees the second half go. But it's a positive step to make a change. And I think it sends a signal to the rest of the St. Louis team. Hey, guys, first half not good enough. Let's take it up a notch.
Nice turn there by Elizondo. Dakers trying to win it back, but giving away the free kick. Dakers and King with a little bit of an exchange there. For San Antonio, they have some options as well. Omar Gordon on 5 goals for the season. Ever Guzman, their usual number 9, is on the bench on 8 goals this year. So some attacking options for either team to really make that change.
And it's a change I would expect in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. As we were chatting before half-time, San Antonio will be happy to keep it level like this until towards the end. But even they've got to look at it and go, we're still 3 points behind, only 3 games to go after this. And maybe that's when they'll throw on their top goal scorers.
Fall trying to win in the air. You see a big presence in there next to Lewis Hilton. Now Dakers in some space and Culbertson overlapping. We'll leave it with Wall-Fall, the big German. And now Tony Walls. He's fitting very well at right back and does very well to get around the defender Lang. Now into the path of Calistri, who tries to peel back, and at the very least, I believe has won a corner. And finally, the referee does signal for an Electro Savings corner. For every goal scored by St. Louis FC off a corner, Electro Savings will be donating $100 to a St. Louis charity. And what is our first corner of the match for St. Louis?
Calistri took a bit of a hard knock. I'm just looking at those boards. Are they up against a brick wall? Because there didn't seem to be much give when he hit that.
As the whistle sounds, I'm not sure the ball was ready to be put in play. And I think Darnell King on the field and Darren Powell in the technical area can barely believe that there will be a redo of the corner.
I'm not quite sure why that was, whether they were too close to the ball, somebody, or whether the referee was still talking to someone in the box and hadn't signaled that the corner kick could be taken. But they get a second chance, St. Louis.
So with the left boot of Culbertson to swing it in. And it's lofted. And it's a dangerous one towards the edge of that 6-yard area, but winning well there was Cyprian Hedrick. And now Culbertson and Hilton. And this time Culbertson will just loft it in towards that area again. Hedrick across, or rather it was King that time. And Greg Cochran putting it out of play for a throw-in for St. Louis.
Good early pressure here from St. Louis. They're coming out with a purpose. That's to get at San Antonio, put them under as much pressure as possible. And it's a nice positive approach.
And Corey Herzog now will have the full leeway to launch in a long throw. We've seen St. Louis profit off of these before. As Fall just trying to get anything on it. Certainly had the height to win it. He thought he won a corner. After it came off of, in his mind, a white shirt, but does come out for Matt Cardone to take a goal kick.
It's difficult to tell what happened. Let's have a look. Wallfall goes in there. Even then, I'm not sure. It looked like Wallfall's head. It just proves to you why it's so difficult to be a referee or assistant ref, because even with the replay, we're busy looking at that going, is that a corner? Is it not? They've got to call it in real time, which is why they're never going to get it right every time. And why I also believe that, as we just lost the picture there for a moment, why I also believe that referees shouldn't be picked on by the players. The players must leave them be. They made a decision. They've got to stick to that decision. Yes, every once in a while they'll get it wrong, but you can't have 6, 7 players screaming at a ref every time he or she makes that decision. I think we see that more in European football. I've been very impressed with the USL referees today. They don't take too much verbal abuse. They stand their ground, and good for them.
That also comes from technical areas as well. Generally, it seems to transfer to the players. If the managers are always having a go at the officials, the players kind of take their lead.
I agree with you.
Here's Lewis Hilton. And Kadeem Dakers on the turn. Carrying on towards goal, trying to poke it towards Herzog. And Dakers frustrated there, probably with the lack of a foul call. Certainly wouldn't blame Herzog for not getting on the other end of that. It is now King. Can carry on his way and slides it towards Ethan Bryant. Trying to get the better of Sean Reynolds there was Bryant, but at least gets the throw.
Yeah, the young 17-year-old has been impressive. You know, he's been positive. He's wanted the ball. He's keen and eager, and he's done well in this game so far.
And now coming together, and there is finally the yellow for Darnell King for the challenge on Kadeem Dakers. Seemed like King received about 4 warnings before finally taking the booking for Mark Allerton.
Yeah, he can't complain, King. As you say, got a lot of warnings. And when the referee has given you that sort of final warning, then you really have to tread carefully. So maybe that's a warning to the other players as well. I'm not quite sure what Anthony Poulos is arguing about. Maybe just confirming it is a yellow card.
No, I believe he was saying how many fouls has it been tonight from him. I believe he was arguing that should be a second yellow based off the number of fouls that he committed in the first half.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's saying a yellow card for the first 2 and then another second yellow. But, you know, can't keep on going on at the officials before they turn on you and give you the yellow card. So deep breath there for Anthony Poulos. But, I mean, it is a pressure on both the coaches. We spoke first half about that for Darren Powell as well. This is a massive match, a season-defining game. A real 6-pointer, a cup final, describe it how you want, but it is all those things.
A high-stakes game of football. This will be a throw-in for St. Louis. Sam Fink. And Wallfall, who has certainly gotten in the goals plenty from his central midfield position on 5 in 20 starts. Solid return. As Hilton tries to spray it out to Dakers, but well read by Elizondo. Has certainly done his defensive work plenty from his wide position. Cesar Elizondo, the Costa Rican.
Once again, St. Louis pushing a lot of numbers into that San Antonio half, making it so difficult for the visitors to play out. And that pressure just constant against the team in white. And we would like to see them play out from the back, but they're struggling to do so, which means they might every once in a while resort to the long high ball on cue.
That time from goalkeeper Cardone. The local boy playing it for his local club. Both he and Maxi Rodriguez from the San Antonio area. Always nice to see. See Tomas Gomez in goal for St. Louis. Twice winner of the USL Golden Glove with Rochester. Times you've seen it this season that might just have been a product of the terrific defensive system of Bob Lilly, now the Pittsburgh Riverhounds manager, who has that side defending very well. Gomez struggled a bit at times this year as now Ethan Bryant finds himself in some space to try and test Gomez. He'll send it low through. It was towards Kyle Murphy, whose name we have not said a ton this evening. Unable to get on the end of that bit of service, but Bryant will carry on.
Yeah, well done, Ethan Bryant, the youngster, causing problems down that right-hand side.
Now Elizondo will try and do the same towards Murphy, this time away by Fink. Only as far, though, as Maxi Rodriguez, who strikes towards goal, but never really threatening Tomas Gomez.
Nope. Darren Powell, his coach, may be suggesting that either hit it lower or pass it to someone or try and at least create a better goal-scoring opportunity. Haven't seen much of Carl Gregg, have we?
No.
As you mentioned him, normally he's such a crucial player for St. Louis, always in the thick of things and getting on the end of crosses, but he's been very quiet in this game. I think you put him under pressure early on by saying he's about to break the record, the club record.
You think he was listening to the commentary and was like, oh, hang on a second. Got a big night ahead of me. He is on 13 for the season. Players had a decent return in USL, but not quite like what he's done this season. Prior to arriving in St. Louis, 113 league appearances with Oklahoma City, Vancouver Whitecaps 2, Wilmington and FC Cincinnati. 34 goals in 113 appearances. It's about a goal every third game. But for St. Louis, 20 starts, 13 goals. It's a pretty solid return.
Wow, that is a good return. Here he is, just winning the ball. I think he's an all-round player. He tackles well, he heads, he sprints. He's got a great strike with his left foot. If you give him service, then he can certainly score goals.
As Lang tried to receive that one, but far too much pace on it. And away for a St. Louis throw. Stay up to date with all the best from social media around the USL by watching Off the Post with Kelsey Steele every Friday evening on the USL social media channels. As San Antonio will take the free kick quickly. San Antonio player on the wrong end of that challenge staying down. I believe that was Maxi Rodriguez, as Charlie Ward will not play on. And there is Maxi Rodriguez.
Yeah, it's always a problem when someone goes down holding their face, the referee keeping an eye on it, because it's the one time you can stop the game for a head injury. But a lot of players get a bump on the shoulder and grab their face if they want to slow the game down. So referees have a hard decision to make.
As Cochran tries to send the cross in. It's a threatening one, but Murphy unable to get on the other end of it.
Yeah, Gomez too quick, read that nice and early. Positive from the goalkeeper. Dealt with it very smoothly.
And now the thrown distribution, a very powerful throw towards Culbertson, and now Dakers in some space. Can cut onto his right. See there, just a bit of confusion as Dakers will then strike. Oh. And it wasn't too far away. Matt Cardoni caught a bit off guard with the strike from Dakers. We ran the promo during halftime, the way that he scored against Las Vegas in a similar kind of position. And that time, not too far for Kadeem Dakers.
Well, I thought he had lost the ball and it was given back to him. There he loses the ball and suddenly confusion amongst the San Antonio defenders, and he pounces on that confusion and nearly manages to bend it in the top corner. And you say, it's almost a carbon copy of the one we showed at halftime, but poor defending from San Antonio. You can't just lose possession there on the edge of your box.
Walls. Playing it off of Lang.
We're coming up to that 60-minute mark where most managers start to think about substitutions, or in St. Louis's case, a second substitution. And with Alba Dikra on the bench and Michael Cox, I just wonder if Anthony Poulos is just thinking, do I make a change now? Do I give it a few more minutes? What do I do?
And now Kyle Gregg is away, trying to get the better of Moises Hernandez. Well played by the Loney center back. And now Kyle Gregg is whistled for a foul, and he can't believe it. But very well done there to stop the run of Kyle Gregg.
It was very, very good defending. Carl Gregg was, in fact, there we go. And I didn't know, by the way, in case people at home are thinking, but the change coming at the 60th minute, and it is the coach's sort of perfect time to make changes. But Carl Gregg getting through there ahead of the defender, and you're quite right, great defending to dispossess him. And I wonder if he will come off for Alba Dikwa.
And you're not saying, Gary, that you got the script. You didn't know that this was coming at exactly that moment.
No, I did not. No warning whatsoever. But it's the normal time, 60th minute, when most coaches start to think of changes. And the onus very much on Anthony Poulos to do something. It's his home game.
An hour gone, still 0-0. These teams getting some positive news in Tulsa. We'll get to that in a moment as Cochran sends the cross in. It's dangerous, but it ran past Charlie Ward. And Elizondo trying to back heel to keep the attack going, but instead gives away to Dakers. And now Fall.
It's very strange with Charlie Ward. Did he mean to miss that? Did he get a call behind him?
Ooh.
Because the ball was in the box. He's running towards it and seemed to run straight past it.
Kyle Murphy trying to put that back four under a bit of pressure. You're right, that did look a bit awkward. As Dakers tries to flick towards Gregg. See, both sets of defenders have been harried, and that time Gregg giving away the foul, and you wonder when the warnings will start to come for him. A couple of fouls there in a couple of minutes, as it does seem like Dikwa will come on now. And it is Herzog who will make way. So 2 changes from Anthony Poulos before San Antonio makes their first. And once again, that substitution is brought to you by G&W Meats.
Corey Herzog has worked hard, he's worked well, he's probed around the box, but he just hasn't been able to get the breakthrough. And I think as a manager, you say thank you for the hard work and the good effort, but let's get somebody else on who's got a different profile, different pace, different abilities, and see if Alba Dikwa can find the magic goal. And he certainly has the capability. What a good player he is.
They have received a full-time score from USL, and Tulsa finishes Tulsa Roughnecks 1, Soul Park Rangers 1. So now San Antonio has a foul there against Joey Calistri, and this will see yellow, a second of the match. And this time it is for Greg Cochran. So both fullbacks have been booked. And a free kick for St. Louis. And that is actually Greg Cochran's first yellow card of the season. Surprising given that his opposite fullback King is on 11.
Yeah, it's pulling, and that's going to get you a yellow every single time. No question about that.
I think really the question for the referee was it for Cochran or was it for Maxi Rodriguez?
Can you give them both a yellow if they're both pulling? I think it just shows that San Antonio are beginning to feel the pressure now, this constant St. Louis, pressure from their side, balls in the box and things on the edge of the box. It starts to tie you down if you're San Antonio, which is why maybe for Darren Powell, he might be looking at his bench and thinking, around about 70th minute, 20 minutes to go, do I bring on some fresh legs, do something positive just to give San Antonio players a boost?
Cardoni will clear. Bryant trying to flick it in the path of Murphy. Here goes Carl Murphy, a challenge in there from Fink, and you wonder if that's yellow, and perhaps even more. And you see Sam Fink frustrated there with his midfielders. Yep. He had to do the job, but it does result in yellow for the St. Louis skipper.
That's a professional foul, and you've got to give him credit. He was through Murphy. He's got to bring him down. He's got to stop him. He's got to take the yellow card, take one for the team, and that's why he turns on his teammates and say, why you put me in that position? But that's good defending because Murphy was through, was clean through. And as you say, it's not a very nice foul to see because it seems unfair, but it's a professional foul, and Sam Fink had no choice.
And that was no doubt the best passage in play from Carl Murphy tonight. Finally, he was able to run at the defenders, and you see there, if not for that tackle, was clean in on Tomas Gomez. And now what can Lance Lang do with it? About 27, 28 yards from goal. Gomez stood right in the middle of his goal. What will Lance Lang decide to do with it? He will strike low, and easy work for Gomez.
It was in the end. I guess Lance Lang was hoping for a deflection on the way, or something that might cause the goalkeeper a problem. But straight at the keeper in the end. Easy to deal with. You can see the white shirts running in case Tomas Gomez dropped the ball, but the keeper's too good for that.
Cyprian Hedrick. Back for Cardone. As with 25 minutes to play in this vital match here in the USL Western Conference, San Antonio trailing St. Louis by 3 points in the league table. With this the first of 4 matches left to play in the league for both of these sides. We were mentioning earlier the Swope Park result in the live table that would put Swope Park 3 points clear of St. Louis and 6 points clear of San Antonio, but with 1 game more played. So Swope Park can fall back into the pack. You would have thought they would have gotten a win away from home against the side now second bottom in the Western Conference. They picked up some points of late.
Yeah, well, by beating San Antonio.
Yes, indeed.
So strange, San Antonio losing to Tulsa and then going and beating the likes of Phoenix and Real Monarchs.
Yep.
Explain that.
It's been that kind of season for them, as we're going to see yellow again as Daker's grabbing at his face, and this time Elizondo, he's going to have a go at Mark Allerton as well.
And young Ethan Bryant, very wisely pulling Elizondo away there, because you've been given a yellow, no point screaming at the referee, because that could get you a second yellow. And it takes a 17-year-old to read the script and just advise Elizondo to walk away.
I believe referee Mark Allerton, if I can do my best lip reading, was saying, get him away, just make sure he doesn't make this worse. And there's just a tug there at Dakers.
I don't know how much contact there was there with Dakers, but once the referee's made his decision, you can't argue anymore. That's the end of it. There's no VAR. You can't ask the ref to go to VAR. Just deal with it and move on. Yeah.
As there will be a change here for San Antonio FC. It looks like Omar Gordon will come on, scorer of 5 league goals. And we've been told that it'll be Kyle Murphy who will make way. Actually, it will be Elizondo as Greg gets the header on the free kick, but just sailing over the bar.
Yeah, Greg always a threat from those set pieces, but I guess Elizondo's going off just because he's on a yellow, and the referee's given him a warning, so that's probably a sensible thing to do. And Omar Gordon looking to come on and make an impact here with 20 minutes to go. And that's how we thought it would play out. If San Antonio were 0-0, they would try and go for the win in the last 20 minutes.
And there is Elizondo coming off. And this change is brought to you by G&W Meats. So Omar Gordon, winner of 16 caps for Jamaica, scorer of 5 league goals for San Antonio on his second loan spell here in the United States from Montego Bay, a Jamaican club. Played also for Indy 11 when they were at NASL, now the USL side.
We're coming to such a crucial time in the game here, because any goal scored could well turn out to be the winning goal, and heroes can be made, villains too, so it's a pressure match. Everything now rests on this last 20 minutes.
As Gordon tries to take off the chest and go into the penalty area. Here's Gordon across the face of goal, and it was dangerous towards Kyle Murphy. But he too unable to get the decisive touch.
Difference already that Gordon's made, that pace of his down that right-hand side. Good ball into the box, and Kyle Murphy nearly getting on the end of it. As we say, this last 20 minutes is a change in attitude. San Antonio are going to push forward a little bit more, try and get the result. And we can still have lots of excitement here. No goals as yet, but it could be a cracking last 20 minutes.
And Walls trying to send over the top towards Greg. A diving header there from Hedrick. Left it all out just to get enough power on it to roll it into the path of Matt Cardone. And now Moises Hernandez. Not too many options short, so go long, trying to find Gordon. And Culbertson taking off the chest. That was dangerous with Murphy around him, but settle for Gomez.
That long ball again out the back from San Antonio. Hasn't given them any results so far tonight. They keep on persevering with it, though.
Tomas Gomez making his 16th league start. Missed the beginning of the season due to injury, and then, I have to say, at times lost his #1 shirt due to performance. He and Jake Fenlison, the #2 goalkeeper this evening for St. Louis, have actually started an equal number of league matches this season. A bit rare for a team to literally split the time 50-50.
Yeah, well, it's rare, but it does make the goalkeepers have to work really hard and play at their absolute best every time they get in. So perhaps it can work. We're seeing it at Real Madrid with Thibaut Courtois and Keylor Navas. One is a league goalkeeper, one's a cup goalkeeper.
As Hilton plays it over the top for Albert Diqua, who loses out. And will be a throw here for San Antonio, but the whistle goes after the throw-in was taken too quickly in the judgment of Mark Gallatin. Anthony Poulos in his first year of charge of St. Louis, replacing Preki. Already taken them to their highest wins total, now trying to take them into the playoffs. Here's Gordon.
I think you can say he's done a fairly good job, Anthony Poulos. I mean, his team play really well, St. Louis. They're a lovely team to watch. They've got good strike options up front.
As the ball is slid towards Murphy. And he's had a few more sights at goal in this second half. That time, Gomez getting there first.
Yeah, we're just saying about Anthony Poulos. He's done so well, and yet it could all be for nothing if they can't make this top 8. So I don't think we're overplaying this last 20 minutes when we say the season for both these teams could rest on what happens from now till the final whistle. Heroes to be made and villains too.
As the consequences will be felt. Hernandez striving on, dinking into the path of Lance Lang, who's had too much of the ball in the second half. We'll leave it for Greg Cochran. And Hernandez. And Lang trying to flick for Cochran again. This time Fall able to win it for St. Louis, but gives it away straight to Ethan Bryant. Try to chip it around Tony Walls, but there's one San Antonio throw.
Yep, Bryant trying to get involved. Look at him, positive, comes short, and really good energy the youngsters showing. Maybe a good example to some of the other players in the team, because he's been running and chasing and trying to influence the match as much as any of the top professionals have.
Maxi Rodriguez and Cyprian Hedrick. Now here's Moises Hernandez. Cochran will loft it towards that back post, and Gomez up to catch.
That's a poor cross. That's just giving it to the goalkeeper. You've got to be more accurate and put it in with more pace than that. And that has been the story for San Antonio. A lot of wasted possession on the rare occasions they have got it.
And Greg took too long to get in the path of Hilton. And now here's Ethan Bryant in some space. Will roll in Omar Gordon, perhaps with a bit too much pace. But Culbertson giving San Antonio the throw. And right, though, Gary, Ethan Bryant has been that creative engine. Now here's Gordon trying to poke it around Hilton, but gave away. And trying to win it back, fouled Joey Calistri.
Oh, Joey Calistri just going to ground as soon as he felt a bump there. A little bit too easy, but hard for the referee not to give it once the player does fall to the ground. Again, you might call it a little professional foul. just wins the free kick, and they can then build from there. Let's have a look. There's not much in it. As I say, it's professionalism to win the foul, to draw it, and to try and control the game from there, which is exactly what they're doing.
And now here's Dakers to try and play the cross in. We'll loft it towards Calistri, who declined to hit it first time. And now 1v1 against Greg Cochran. We'll leave it with Tony Walls, who elects not to overlap. Instead, we'll try and play the cross in. Comes in a bit awkwardly, and Kyle Gregg nearly able to play the bounce, but Cardoni did so.
Yeah, Cardoni reading that absolutely perfectly, letting it bounce, and then picking it off the head of Kyle Gregg.
Hernandez. And now Bryant will try it, clip it towards Lang, but well read there by Reynolds. And away by Fink. Walls with the challenge coming in from Lang. A foul one in the end. Now Lewis Hilton, Englishman who came to the U.S. to play college soccer. And Calistri unable to cast it under his spell. And now Rodriguez. As Gordon on the turn. Hedrick under a bit of pressure, as we have been told that Ever Guzman will be the last change for, or the second change, I should say, for San Antonio. Their top goal scorer being prepared. And you nailed it, Gary. 15 minutes left to play. Get the team's top scorer on, and it is Ever Guzman who will come on for Kyle Murphy. So that's his night over. Put in a decent shift, but...
He has, yeah. He has. He's worked hard. He hasn't been given much good service, to be fair to him. But Guzman's the man who, with, was it 8 goals this season? He's got the ability to get that crucial goal, which one would assume now whoever scores is very likely to win the match. So what a good time to throw Guzman on. Fresh legs and fresh approach for this last 15 minutes.
As that will be a change brought to you by G&W Meats. Guzman, part of a under-17 World Cup winning side with Mexico. One on there by Rodriguez, played outside of the booth for Omar Gordon. He's got a bit of space. Here's Omar Gordon trying to play with some pace and slide it through. Gomez let it bounce in front of him and allowed Guzman to potentially run onto it, but does eventually handle it. Fall turning and finding Hilton very well.
You can see the pressure coming from San Antonio for the few times in this match. Look at the white shirts in this half of St. Louis. They really are deciding to go for it now. Yeah.
And you see Ever Guzman with his fresh legs coming on and wanting the white shirts to join him in the press.
Exactly what he's doing. And that's what they've done. They've played for the draw up until the 75th minute, more or less, and they've decided last 15 minutes they'll have a go to try and win it. And St. Louis have to have a go to try and win it. So grandstand finish.
Now Ethan Bryant is going to join the press and put Gomez under pressure. Nearly puts the ball out of play, but well done by Culbertson to keep it in, but then sprays the ball wide and out of play. As King will launch a throw in towards Guzman. Now Fall. Dakers under some pressure, going through him there was King, who is on a yellow. Won't have to be careful, but put in play quickly for Joey Calistri, who turns the other direction. Now Calistri and the substitute Dequa, leaving it for Lewis. Hilton scores! And might that just be the goal that sends St. Louis FC into the Western Conference playoffs? They lead by a 1-0 through Lewis Hilton.
What a great strike from Lewis Hilton. What a great time to score in the 79th minute. Look what it means to everybody. The players, they're super excited. The managers, more than pleased. Everyone's happy, delighted. And it's a goal that I think St. Louis really deserve. The St. Louligans love it as well, but they have been probing for this entire match. They have been looking for that one moment of class, and that man there is the man that provides it. Nice little build-up here. Ball comes across to Lewis. Hilton takes it on his right foot and sticks it into the top corner. And as you quite rightly say, could that be the goal that sends them into the playoffs?
A goal of the utmost importance, a third of the season. And the replay of that goal from St. Louis FC was delivered by Domino's and Lewis Hilton, who has been a mainstay in the St. Louis side, started every single match in the league, and now might just have the most important goal of the season. Has them 1-0 up with 10 minutes to play. Now San Antonio going to try and find the response. Here's Greg Cochran with the cross. Omar Gordon with a header, and away by Culbertson for the corner.
Yeah, Culbertson not quite sure what to do, and if you're in doubt, just kick it clear. Tomas Gomez was coming out, but Culbertson couldn't assume he was going to get the ball, and now it's a corner for San Antonio. Pushing and shoving going on in the box, as often happens. You never know who to blame. Is it the attackers? Is it the defenders?
And out to the edge of the area, and Ethan Bryant to try and send it towards goal. Fall away. Dakers falling through there, but actually giving away a free kick in a very dangerous area. Not sure if that was for handball or for going through a defender.
I think he threw himself at the ball and his arm sort of made contact with the ball.
And now Mark Allerton gives San Antonio a free kick in a fairly dangerous area. Yep. For kind of going off his bicep there.
As you say, dangerous position. And I'm sure Tomas Gomez is concerned as to where he puts his wall and how they're going to stop Darren Powell's side from scoring the equalizer.
3 men over it. You'd fancy Lance Lane to take it. But Omar Gordon and Charlie Ward in there as well. The wall established just on the edge of the penalty area there. Thought maybe on first glance of where that handball came through that it'd be a bit closer to goal. They're certainly well within range for Gomez to see it. As Mark Allerton puts it in play. And Lang will now take his paces back. Gomez shaded towards the left side of his goal.
It's a shoving going on in that wall at the moment. The referee's trying to keep an eye on things.
And Lance Lane taking his sweet time as well. But it will be Gordon and Gomez across to his right to hang on to it very well.
After all that, it wasn't the best of free kicks and it was comfortable for Gomez, but lots of shoving and pushing in the wall and the referee trying to keep an eye on things. It really has become a crucial last 10 minutes, and that's why the players were fighting for every inch in that wall. And what is it now? 7 minutes plus injury time left for St. Louis to see themselves to a 6-point gap over San Antonio and into a fantastic position to make the top 8.
And Reno 1868 currently in 8th place, just underway against Las Vegas Lights. They have 2 games in hand on both of these teams. So a chance to establish some distance. San Antonio, though, with the fixtures to try and get 3 wins, close out the season, and put St. Louis and Reno and Swope Park under some pressure, but they'd be up against it on this result. Here's Gordon and Darnell King. Gordon with a nice flick there in the path of Ward. He'll leave it for Lang. Here's Lance Lang. Took a deflection on the way through and it'll be out for a corner.
Great tackle there from St. Louis, just blocking that shot from Lang. And that's what they need now, bodies on the line to try and keep this result, keep a clean sheet. Are those designer socks with all those tears in them?
Perhaps just a long season's work.
Don't they have spare socks?
And it'll be the Jamaican Lang over the corner. An opportunity with 5 minutes left to play. Lofted in. Gordon rising. Had he got something onto him, would have been a real threat. But cleared well there by St. Louis. And Cardone coming up to play. Yeah, we'll just send it back along Guzman, trying to establish some position. Moises Hernandez winning well in the air and now carrying on with his run. Lang trying to play him in. And Dequat putting the ball out to touch. And the referee stopping play for a final change. It'll be Kyle Gregg coming off and Fanuel Kavita coming on. So defender for attacker.
Yep, closing up shop. That's what Anthony Poulos is trying to do. Bring in the extra defender. Try and keep that clean sheet. Kyle Gregg has worked really hard. Hasn't been as good as I've seen him in previous matches. But now it's a case of everybody for St. Louis trying to hold on to this lead for the last few minutes.
Given away there by Maxi Rodriguez. And now Wallfall, can the counterattack give them the second goal that would see them clear? Now Dakers winning the second header. Trying to turn. But a good step there from Maxi Rodriguez to win the ball back. Bryant. The ball lofted towards Guzman. And now Fink. Just getting it up the pitch in Calistri. Almost touching it for himself. Instead won by Moises Hernandez. Heavy coming together between Hernandez and Hilton. And that might see Hernandez into the book. And perhaps even more as Hilton has stayed down in agonizing pain.
Oh.
And there is the red. Moises Hernandez has been sent off for a late challenge on Lewis Hilton. And that is his night over.
I'd like to see that again. It looked like a bad tackle. Moises is saying it's not. And I'd have to see it again to be able to give you a view on it. But certainly Lewis Hilton went down like he'd been badly hurt. But either way, no matter what we think, the red card it is. And they're down to 10 men. San Antonio, let's have a look. Oh, yes. Oh, that is a shocker. In fact, not only is that a red card, he should be banned from football for the rest of the season. That's a leg breaker. As an ex-professional, there's nothing worse than seeing a tackle where someone looks to try and break someone's leg. And that's exactly what that was, in my opinion. And I don't think he should be allowed to kick another ball this season. His manager might not agree, but you've got to see that in slow motion, Darren Powell, to see how bad and how high that tackle was on Lewis Hilton.
There were 3 games left in the season for San Antonio. And that might just be Moises Hernandez's season over. At least if it was up to Garrett Bailey. Not sure in the discipline committee. Perhaps a role you can seek in the future. But that was a nasty one. And we're glad to see that Lewis Hilton is fine after that.
There's a lot of things you can take in football, bumping and all that. But the one thing you don't ever want to see is someone who tackles in a way that could end another player's career. That's the worst of the worst, in my opinion. And that tackle certainly looked like it was aiming to be a leg breaker.
So San Antonio will have to get the equalizer. Down a man. You'd imagine they'll just leave that space at the back where Hernandez, the center back, once was. But you did see prior to that challenge that Hernandez had done well going forward, winning in the air and contributing on set pieces. But now it will just be Cyprian Hedrick all alone at the back. And now King trying to sort out his feet. We'll leave it for Hedrick. Wonder how much we'll have of added time. Here's Greg Cochran. Lofted long, but nobody there. And Gomez will just take it with his feet and then pick it up before Guzman gets to him.
Yeah, the keeper using the fact that he can allow the ball to come to him to try and take off a few seconds off the clock. And now getting to desperation time for San Antonio.
And Dequa taking it out of the air. turning and trying to take it off of King, lunging in on King, and now King will go down. And there's yellow for Albert Dikwa, the substitute. A little bit extra there from the Cameroonian.
Yep, deserving of a yellow. I think San Antonio are probably saying, well, should it not be a red? But I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as the previous tackle from Moises Hernandez. And they get on with it, San Antonio. And I guess they're going to be looking at the clock to see how much extra time there is, because they need every minute they can get to try and get this equalizer.
We have been told that there will be 4 minutes to be added on at the end of these 90 minutes, as Cochran will slide it in for Lang, who hit the cross with plenty of pace on it. The header then comes in from Charlie Ward, and it was straight at Gomez.
Yeah, it's a good header, but if it's any side of Tomas Gomez, it could cause a problem. It wasn't. It was straight at the goalkeeper, and he just catches it comfortably. Have a look at the ball comes in here. Charlie Ward makes great contact, but straight at Tomas Gomez.
As there is the confirmation of the 4 minutes to be added on. That'll be Connor Presley, the last change. If he can come on, he'll come on for the youngster, Ethan Bryant. And now Cochran. And Ward. And Rodriguez. San Antonio probing with 3 minutes left to play. Can they find the chance? And lovely touch there from Omar Gordon. King, not to be hyperbolic, but this could be season on the line. Rodriguez trying to send the cross in. Out for a throw.
I guess San Antonio fans are wondering, well, why didn't we play like this earlier? But I think the idea was to keep it defensive and tight until about the 75th minute and then go for it. But given the way they're attacking San Antonio, perhaps they could have played more positively earlier on and given themselves a better chance to get the crucial goals they needed.
As Ward's cross hits the first man there in wall fault. And you'd also have to say St. Louis are playing their part at the moment. They're certainly putting numbers behind the ball, hanging on to their lead. We should right now have them on 49 points. 6 points clear of San Antonio with 3 matches left to play. Away by Fink. And now San Antonio will be placed for scoreboard watching as Dikwa takes a touch around the keeper, Cardoni. Dikwa! And that should do it. St. Louis FC with 3 absolutely monumental points in the bag. And it's Albert Dikwa taking advantage of the goalkeeper off his line for his 3rd goal of the season, a 2nd on the night, and an absolutely priceless set of 3 points for St. Louis FC.
Certainly is, and the goalkeeper selling himself there, Cardoni, and Albert Dikwa going round, putting in the back of the net. That is game, set, and match for St. Louis. And to be fair, when you're pushing forward as San Antonio, you're going to leave gaps at the back. But that man there exploited that gap, and I think the goalkeeper helped him in that in terms of rushing out. And it was just a case of going past Albert Dikwa to finish it off. Tough day for San Antonio. Did so well for 75, 80 minutes, and it's all fallen apart towards the end.
And the replay of that goal was brought to you by Domino's and Albert Dikwa. And then in the middle of all that, Connor Presley coming on for Ethan Bryant as the final change. As our last change brought to you by G&W Meats. And that will just about get the job done for St. Louis. Now 6 points clear of San Antonio in 9th. Reno 1868 now with the fate of San Antonio in their hands. And at home, they already lead by a 1-0 over Las Vegas Lights. Brian Brown with the goal. And now San Antonio are seeing their playoff chances slip away. What has been a fairly devastating week to those chances, losing last weekend to Tulsa, on Wednesday to Swope Park, and now tonight dropping points losing by 2-0 to St. Louis FC, who have taken a massive step forward towards making the playoffs for the first time in their 4-year club history. They've beaten San Antonio FC by 2-0, Gary Bailey.
Yeah, fantastic result for St. Louis. They played well. They were more positive in my book, and they certainly deserved it. For San Antonio, 3 losses on the trot, and I don't think you can survive when that happens. It's a tough one for San Antonio because 3 games ago they looked like they were going to make it. Now they look like they're going to really struggle. That man, Lewis Hilton, in the middle with the breakthrough goal that put San Antonio in a situation where they had to attack. When they did, they left gaps, and that's when Alba punished them. A great night for St. Louis and the Luligans.
Anthony Poulos would be pleased with the outcome and the performance from his boys tonight. Tonight's game is brought to you in part by Worldwide Technology. Experience Silicon Valley in St. Louis. Here at Worldwide Technology Soccer Park, the Toyota Stadium, St. Louis FC saw a near sellout crowd on hand, and they will go home happy as their side are getting ever closer towards making the Western Conference playoffs. Now on 49 points, 6 points clear. San Antonio with 3 matches left to play. Next time out at home against Tulsa, could see an opportunity for them to clinch a spot in the playoffs. And for Anthony Poulos, the goals came tonight from Albert Dikwa and Lewis Hilton. It finishes St. Louis 2, San Antonio 0, and Edward Jones full-time. We'll bring you full-time highlights coming up next.
A lottery ticket is so much more than a piece of paper. It's wonder, opportunity, dreams. And not just for players. 100% of the profits from every Missouri lottery ticket you play goes back to schools, teachers, and students. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to theelectricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Hollywood Casino, St. Louis.
In Edward Jones full-time, scenes of jubilance at the Toyota Stadium as St. Louis FC have won by 2-0 and taken a massive step towards making the playoffs in the USL. Chris Winningham alongside Gary Bailey here for Edward Jones full-time. Let's bring you the full-time highlights, including the goals that finally came in the second half. Not too many chances in the first. Here would be one off the left boot of Lance Lang.
Yep, wasn't much of a shot. It was straight at Tomas Gomez, and he deals with it. Not brilliantly, but he gets it away from trouble. There wasn't much in the first half, to be fair. It was a really tight situation. A header from Corey Herzog goes wide. We were calling for some action. It eventually came at the very end. Here again, still first half. Corey Herzog not able to do much with that. And it was all huff and puff, mostly from St. Louis, with the odd moment here for the visitors, San Antonio.
Yeah, Greg Cochran there trying with the cross. Lance Lang trying with the free kick. It never really felt like they were threatening the goal. And here is the opening goal. Lewis Hilton placing it in the top corner.
And he did right in the top corner. Great. He touched it with his right foot on each occasion. As it comes to him, right foot, right foot, right foot. But who cares when you can stick it in the top corner? Brilliant finish. And that really turned the match and put the pressure on San Antonio. Tomas Gomez just dealing with the save. And while San Antonio are pushing forward, desperately seeking the equalizer, Another straightforward save.
Yeah, it was a good header there from Charlie Ward, but straight at the keeper. And then here would be the second. Albertiqua with a touch around the onrushing goalkeeper Cardone, and just making sure.
Yeah, as they were pushing forward, San Antonio, they got caught. And the goalkeeper selling himself a little bit here. Albertiqua says, thank you very much. Game, set, and match.
And possession slightly favoring San Antonio in the end, but that very much after St. Louis were bunkering in with their lead. Shots on target favoring San Antonio, but you'd have to say they never really threatened Tomas Gomez's goal.
Yeah, it doesn't include the opportunities St. Louis had in and around the box. They had plenty more. They were probing, they were pushing. Not enough shots on target, you would say. But nonetheless, I thought they had far better opportunities, St. Louis, and a well-deserved win.
And coming up for St. Louis, they're away to Phoenix Rising to close the season with home matches against Tulsa and against Oklahoma City Energy just to secure that place in the postseason. San Antonio do have some chances over their last 3 matches to get back into this. Home matches against 3 teams below the playoff line, but a lot of work to do. St. Louis FC might have just taken a massive step towards making the playoffs here with a 2-0 victory at home in a 6-pointer against San Antonio FC. They've been in the league for 4 years. This will be their first trip to the postseason. That'll just about do it for us, for our fantastic USL broadcast crew, for our broadcast partner, Gary Bailey. My name is Chris Whittingham, signing off. Once again, your full-time score at St. Louis FC 2, San Antonio FC 0.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.